vans. We transport almost anything you can imagine. Here, or here. More and more often, fully electric. In 2022, all model series also have an e-drive. From the middle of the decade, all new van models will be purely electric. Vito, Sprinter, V-Class, already electrified.
How cool is that?
Our demands? High. Our portfolio? Broad. Nah, even broader. Yeah, that's broad. We deliver, refrigerate, and boost safety. We provide power, entertainment, and maximum freedom. And for some, a cozy home. A reason to be proud? Perhaps. Do we rest on our laurels? Never. We remain socially relevant. We're already well networked. We continue to develop our vans in Germany, manufacture them on 3 continents, and sell them in more than 150 countries. We are an international team and create great things together. Our way of thinking and working, unlimited. Okay, maybe there are some limits. Our goals, sustainable. Any questions?
Hey Mercedes, what happens in 2049?
By then, our global supply chain should be carbon neutral.
Let's move transportation to the next level. Mercedes-Benz vans.
Well, thank you, Susanne, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Marcel, and I'm responsible for product and sustainable business strategy at Mercedes-Benz Vans. And for those of you who don't know Mercedes-Benz Vans, we are an independent business unit within Mercedes-Benz AG. And actually, I was going to say that we are doing the cooler cars, but I would never say that, so forget about that again. In terms of our vans, we have the goal to offer the most desirable vans and services. And in that regard, of course, everything what we do have to be a basic premise in terms of sustainability, of course. And today, I want to show you how we think of an urban logistics in a much more sustainable way in the future. But before we come to that, I will talk a bit about sustainability in general at Mercedes-Benz Vans. If we think of sustainability and if you talk to people about sustainability, first thing that comes, of course, into their minds is e-mobility. And if you talk about e-mobility in terms of Mercedes-Benz Vans, we have to talk about that. I mean, some might say that you have seen prettier cars recently, but I would say it's a bit old-fashioned. But that shows exactly that we are very active in that regard, and that not only since yesterday, because back in 2010, we were actually the first offering a fully electric e-van out of series production. But perhaps we were a bit too early, markets weren't ready, the car was not a success. So we had to stop that, but of course we worked further on the topic of e-mobility. So today we are very proud to say that we will be a full-line provider of e-vans at the end of this year. And full-line provider means that for every vehicle you can buy at Mercedes-Benz Vans, and you have seen that in the video before, it's a lot, you can also have an e-drive version. And of course we don't stand still there. Our next generation of the e-Sprinter is virtually waiting in its wings to be launched next year. So I asked my staff if I would be allowed to give you some more details, but unfortunately I'm not, it's too early. But you can be excited, it's going to be very cool, a very good vehicle and a development in terms of e-mobility to the next step. And currently we are facing all of our activities to the Van EA. The Van EA, which stands for Van Electric Architecture, and it's a highly flexible and modular platform, because as you have seen in our video, we have to serve a broad range of customers. So we're talking about camper vans, RVs, cab and courier vehicles, and they all have different requirements in terms of e-mobility. And that's we are taking care of with our Van EA platform. We're going to invest a lot of money in that, and it's going to be launched mid of decade. And with that launch, there will be no combustion engines at all from Mercedes-Benz vans. So full focus on e-mobility and no compromises at all. But of course, if you talk about e-mobility and in regard to CO2 footprints, you lower your CO2 footprint if you just look at the vehicle itself. But you have to look at it in a much broader picture because you're shifting part of the CO2 issue upfront towards the supply chain. So that's why we are looking at it in a more holistic way with our ambition 2039, where we committed ourselves to be fully CO2 neutral over the whole value chain. That means from raw materials, supply chain, engineering, production, the use phase, and there we have to also think of green electricity to charge the cars, of course, and to the end of the life cycle, actually. So we are taking care of that, and it is very important because we can't do this alone. We also ask our suppliers, of course, to join us on our way, and almost everyone did. And for the van business, the upfitters are very important. This is a special thing for LCVs because more than 50% of our vehicles getting upfitted after we have sold them. And they were built to ambulances, to lifters, to refrigerating vehicles, so you name it. And it's very important to get them on board as well. And that's what we are taking care of currently. So, I mean, e-drive, I think we are on a pretty good way. Decarbonization also on a pretty good way. But we said, okay, vans are shaping the cityscapes more than ever. They are all around in the city, and their importance is going to grow within the next years. So we said that we want to show and make sustainability much, much more tangible in a broader way than just e-drive and decarbonization. And we thought, okay, let's not do a vision. We have done so many visions in the past. We wanted to show what's already possible today in terms of sustainability in urban logistics. And then we decided to do what we do best. We just build a car. And we took the current e-Sprinter as a technical basis for that. And we added a lot of sustainable features, which are all technically working. Of course, they are not like in a serious status, but they are all technically working, and that gives us the opportunity to check step by step which of those innovations we want to integrate in our future vehicle portfolio. At the beginning, actually, to be totally honest, we weren't quite sure about the feedback because, I mean, the car is looking pretty nice, but it's not rocket science, at least at first sight. But we said, okay, let's start, and we recognized very, very soon that it's changed the minds of everyone who was involved. In our own organization, they all started to think of sustainability in a totally new way. They all started to generate their own ideas, and there was kind of dynamic within our own organization. And we recognized that also with our external partners who helped us in that project. They even started to think of using more recycled materials for their operations, changing their processes and adding more and more sustainability aspects into their operations. So that was actually the first thing. We were pretty surprised, but we were glad that it went that way. And then 1 year ago, we launched the vehicle and showed it to public, and the response was actually pretty overwhelming. So the press was very impressed, environmental organizations, they all really liked the car, and most important, our customers really liked the car. And that gave us also a sense that sustainability is going to be more and more important and matters in the view of our customers as well. So with the SUSTAINEER, we focused on 3 main targets. The first target is livable cities. The second target is resource conservation and climate protection. And the third target is the health and the safety of drivers and other road users. And starting with the first one, if we talk about livable cities, we have to talk about the quality of air, because we want to improve the air quality overall in cities. And if I would ask around 100 people which part of a vehicle causes most emissions in terms of fine dust, almost everyone would say it's the engine, but actually it's not. It's the tires and the brakes, and it's the resuspension of the fine dust which is already on the street. So we attacked that field and said, okay, in the first step, let us get the overall emission of the vehicle down. So we added optimized brakes and low friction tires to the vehicle to get the overall CO2 emission down. And at the same time, we have added filter systems to the front and to the underbody to filter out fine dust while driving, but also while charging. Because while charging, there's a little rotator in the front of the vehicle which cools the engine and it sucks in air while charging, so we can also filter the air during the charging process. And of course, if you talk about if you talk about like livable cities, you also have to talk about noise reduction. And of course, the eDrive engine is very, very quiet. And in combination with our optimized tires, the overall package is much, much more quieter than a normal combustion engine vehicle. So now coming to the second target, resource conservation and climate protection. We are focusing very strongly on the 3 Rs, which are reduce, reuse, and recycle, because we are convinced that the value chain of tomorrow must be a circular economy. And to give you some figures about that, we are today already it is already possible to recycle about 90% of a built-up vehicle, and that's quite a lot. But if you're looking at the materials which we can use to build up cars, that's just about 30 to 35%. So that is the number which we have to get up to decouple economic growth from resource usage. And we're working hard on that. For example, last week we announced that we are now able to build up safety-relevant parts out of recycled tires. That was quite a challenge because these parts have very special requirements and it's not that easy to do that with recycled material. But we made that and we're still working on it and trying to get real progress in that issue. Of course, we also thought about the overall efficiency of the vehicle. And I mean, we see those solar panels everywhere on the roof. You also see them in fences. And we said, okay, why don't we just integrate it into a vehicle? And that's what we did here. And we integrated seamlessly these solar panels. They are about 4.8 square meters. And they generate their own green electricity. So if you operate the vehicle in Stuttgart, for example, it generates about 2,500 kilometers of additional range. And of course, if you operate it in a more sunny area like southern Spain, it's about 3.8. So that's quite a number. Of course, we have to improve that over the next upcoming years, but it's a start, and we are still working on that to further improve it. And of course, if you talk about efficiency, you also have to talk about the heating, because that is one big player in terms of battery range. And what we did here is we integrated, we thought about a new way of heating or bringing the heat to where it's exactly needed, and that's to the driver of the vehicle. So we have added, at first sight, a heated steering wheel. That's nothing new so far. We have added a heated seat, nothing new so far. But we have also added a heated seat belt. That was the first new thing. And we added lately some heating surfaces. You can try them at our booth. They are really working. They are going pretty hot. And the issue is that you have to bring the heat, like I said, directly to the driver and to where it's needed. And that's what we are doing here. And if we talk about efficiency, that's just looking at the system of heating and cooling, it's about 40% of energy efficiency. And we are still figuring out how much that means in terms of range. Because, like I said, this car is not only to show it on fairs, but we really use it to work with it in wind channels and laboratories to figure out that stuff, and that is the next step, what we are doing here. And now coming to the third target, the health and the safety of the drivers and other road users. And here we have to talk about data at first, because all our vehicles are driving around the city whole day, and they are generating a lot of data, which was more or less unused until recently. So what we are doing is, of course, first step, ask the customer if he wants to share the data, because that is pretty important. And if he agrees to share, we are collecting all these data. And for example, we are recording areas of near misses. For example, if a vehicle has to brake hard because a pedestrian is crossing or a bicycle is crossing, for example. So we are detecting near misses, actually, loading them up into a cloud, and then we have some safety algorithms who work with that data. And for example, in that case, we are very closely working together with the City of London. So we can provide them like so-called data dashboard, where they can see exactly where are the spots of unsafe traffic, of near misses, and they know exactly where to look at in terms of improvement of their overall traffic safety. Another feature is the road conditions. We are observing, for example, potholes. We have a lot of sensors in our car, and we detect if our car passes a pothole. So we are also collecting these data, and for example, working together with Amsterdam, and we are covering about 130,000 kilometers of streets over the whole Netherlands, and can tell them exactly where is a pothole, where do you have to send your crew to fix it. So no driving around, no looking for damaged streets, no causing traffic, just go there, fix it, and go to the next spot. So that's a pretty good thing in terms of improving urban life and for fewer traffic in the cities. And the third example is our city-to-car communication. For example, if you approach a kindergarten, you get a message, for example, saying, go slowly, you're approaching a kindergarten, there are a lot of people and a lot of kids around. Well, but of course, beside the data-driven safety features, we have added also some hardware safety features, the so-called mirror cams. I mean, everyone knows that driving around the city, trying to park, trying to maneuver, sometimes it's hard to see where the car starts, where the car ends, where is around you. So we added those features to significantly improve the overall surround view at the back and also at the sides to make traffic more safe and to prevent accidents and hits. So, this is for now from my side with the features. I mean, I could talk like an hour about our features, but there's two reasons why I can't do this. So the first one is we have the car over there, and there are a lot of experts who can tell much more about that in detail, and they know all the features much more better than I do, and clock's ticking, so I don't have that much time, so I have to come to an end. So, but I said we are checking step by step which of these innovations we can add in our vehicles. And we're doing a first start with that in Graz, where we have equipped, together with the Austrian Post, 2 sprinters with our optimized filter systems, and we want to try them in real operating conditions. And there we are working together with the Institute of Economical Technology and Efficiency of Duisburg to put that on a scientific foundation as well. So we just started yet, we don't have the results, but we are pretty excited about the upcoming weeks and months to come to check whether this one is really good working or not. Well, that's from my side, so I hope I could give you a tangible impression of what we think of urban mobility and sustainable urban mobility operations in the future. I'm sure we're doing good progress. We're still working hard to get sustainability and all its sustainability aspects into our daily operations. So thank you very much for now, and now I'm looking forward to our upcoming panel discussion. But first, questions.
Right, you're doing my job as well. Marcel, I really love the idea of the heated seatbelt, but I was thinking the whole time, do I have to shower less then, just to make sure that my energy consumption is still okay? No, I'm just kidding. So that's just a typical German problem we have right now. Well, thank you very much for all of the insights about the SUSTAINEER.
Pleasure.
Quick check if you have any questions, guys. Just raise your hand if you do so.